Hello, and welcome to the Banknote Den's presentation of the many faces of money, where we take a look at the depictions of world banknotes and present them in short, informative, bite-sized videos. Today, we'll be taking a look at a couple of banknotes from Czechoslovakia that feature Jan Zizka, or John One-Eye. Jan, or Jan Zizka, was born in Bohemia to a minor noble family. As a youngster, he was blinded in one eye during a childhood fight, and according to legal records from 1378, the name Zizka seems to be a nickname, meaning one eye. During his younger years, he was the chamberlain, or the manager of a household, to Queen Sophia. Zizka was a supporter of John Hus, a religious reformer sometime before Martin Luther, and, like Luther would in later years, Hus opposed the sale of indulgences by the Church to pay for sins. He taught that people should appeal directly to Christ for forgiveness, and he was a vocal opponent of the Church's abuses. Hus would later be betrayed when he traveled to the Council of Constance for ecclesiastical reform. Zizka's support for Hus lost him the ear of the king. During the Council of Constance, a series of church reform meetings to end the Great Schism, a time when there were several popes vying for the Catholic Church, John Hus was asked to give his testimony for charges of heresy against him. He was promised safe conduct, but upon his arrival, he was arrested and told to recant his views on the Church. Refusing, he was burned at the stake on July the 6th, 1415. The council would eventually mend the schism, and in 1417 they removed 3 popes and elected just one, Martin V, as the single head of the Catholic Church. Many of the people in Bohemia were followers of the teachings of John Hus, and word of his execution would lead to a long revolt against the Catholic Church. Zizka soon emerged as a leader of the Taborites, a rather riotous division of Hus followers in 1409. However, in 1410, Zizka found himself fighting for the Poles as a mercenary defending against Teutonic knights. He fought in the final battle at Grunwald, where Polish-Lithuanian forces defeated the Teutonic knights, ending their territorial claims in the area. Zizka returned during the religious upheaval following the death of John Hus. During King Wenceslaus IV's final year in 1419, Zizka wound up leading the storming of Prague's town hall. It should be noted that this was not the same Wenceslaus of the ever-popular Christmas carol, Good King Wenceslaus, who died in 935 AD, 484 years earlier, and he was actually just a duke. While King Wenceslaus IV was an intelligent man, he was also known as being lazy and ineffective as a ruler. He was responsible for a beautiful illuminated manuscript known as the Wenceslaus Bible. But his many other shortcomings, such as nepotism, moodiness, instability, etc., left him with an unfavorable legacy. He died of a heart attack while hunting in 1419, leaving no heirs. Though his reign was troubled, the vacancy of a ruling monarch left the country in political turmoil. Through the complex web of royal alliances, the situation actually left King Sigismund, the King of Hungary, Germany, and the Holy Roman Emperor of the House of Luxembourg, with the title of King of Bohemia. At the time, Sigismund was not popular with a large portion of the country, as it was known that he was responsible for the betrayal of John Hus and his subsequent execution. After the death of Wenceslaus IV, Zizka played a key role in organizing the armed resistance against forces loyal to Sigismund. From 1420 through 1434, the Hussite Wars ensued, with the Hussites, the ardent followers of late John Hus, seeking not only to change how the Church conducted itself, but also to rid themselves of the influence of King Sigismund. Zizka soon assembled an army consisting mainly of peasants, but instead of teaching them how to use military equipment, he had them convert their farming tools, which they were already comfortable in handling, into weapons. One of the most famous was the Wagenburgen, an armed farm wagon. As a predecessor to modern armored tank warfare, they were found very effective when used to combat heavily armored knights of the day. They were reinforced with angled outer planks to help against projectiles and cannon. These could be used to move close to the enemy, but could be defended as a mobile armed mini-fort, thus using a defensive position as an offensive tactic. Manned with about 20 men, gunners, bowmen, cavalry, and infantry, these mobile fortresses, complete with gun ports, could also emplace howitzers. Once in place, they would typically wait for the knights to come into range on their horses. Then the bowmen and gunners would take out the horses, making it easier to take out the slow-moving heavy knights. The English terms for howitzer and pistol are derived from the Czech language for these weapons. In 1420, Zizka defended the hill Witkov near Prague and fended off the German forces led by King Sigismund. After many subsequent battles with the Germans, Sigismund was routed out, which helped Zizka to be elected as a representative of the Tabor region. In 1421, Zizka lost sight in his other eye during the siege of Rabi. He was now fully blind, yet he continued to lead his forces through the battle with the aid of trusted companions. Even with his trusted aides by his side, Sigismund was able to capture the town of Kutna Hora and trapped Zizka and his army outside the city walls. Zizka, however, using the Wagenburgen and a mobile artillery movement, broke through the enemy lines, gathered up reinforcements, and counterattacked, killing 12,000 of Sigismund's men. In 1423, after finding some disagreements with the Taborites, Zizka broke away and created the Orobites, a more moderate wing of the Hussites. Before he could lead his army again, Zizka died from the plague in Pribislav in 1424. Zizka was so beloved that after his death, the Orobites changed their name to the Orphans because they felt like they had lost their father. Among Zizka's accomplishments were the modernization of warfare, fighting against church misconduct, and after his troops had disobeyed his orders and killed some inhabitants of a town, he wrote the Western world's first code of military conduct. It is said that Jan Zizka never lost a battle. Zizka has been commemorated on at least 2 banknotes. The 25 korun issued in 1958 and again in 1961, and then the 20 korun issued in 1970. Curiously, the 25 kroon note depicts Jan Zizka's right eye as being the one he had first injured, while the 20 kroon note depicts it as his left eye. The reverse of the 20 kroon banknote issued in 1970 shows a depiction of Jan Zizka leading his army. This illustration was taken from the Jena Codex, and it shows Jan Zizka after he was blinded in both eyes. Here you can see the Jena Codex, which is opened to the page showing the illustration on the back of the 20 kroon banknote. Thank you for watching. As a reminder, you can learn more about these and other world banknotes by visiting banknoteden.com.